So every long semester, we hold these orientations for current students to let you know what new courses might be available and what courses that we recommend by track. So as I mentioned, this is going to be recorded. It'll be sent to you. This presentation will also be sent to you as a PDF by tomorrow. So before we get started, one thing I wanted to do is, some of you may know, some of you may not, but we have some student ambassadors that we've had for many years, but we created this Executive Student Leadership Council. Rekshika or anyone from the council, are you on the line?
Yeah. Hey, this is Brijesh here. I'm on the line right now. Rakshika will be joining us in some time.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. So I'll pass the microphone on to you, but these are the members of our team. Brijesh just introduced himself. Maybe others will join. But basically, one of the things that they've been doing is having a series of events. So you can see here these different dates. We've had events like where they mentor and answer questions, like choosing a track, the statistics study group, peer-to-peer mentoring. Now, one thing that unfortunately has happened is we've had very few participants. Now, in orientation, when everyone first began the program, we mentioned that we send out a newsletter by email every Friday. So if you're not reading those, you won't know about all these different events. And what I want to talk about is this next event coming up tomorrow, this mixer. And also we have an internship kind of webinar coming up April 8th. And then a recruiting event for future semesters for the Leadership Council. So more details then. So all these dates will be announced in the newsletter. So, Brijesh, why don't you talk a little bit about this mixer? I have a slide up that gives some additional details.
Yeah, sure, Professor Edsel. So, hey, everyone. Firstly, welcome to the event. We have a great turnout. I'm really happy to see that we have more than those 4 or 5 students that we usually have. So, firstly, this is our first ever Student Leadership Council in MS Marketing. And we are hosting this exciting mixer event tomorrow in the JSOM courtyards. And I would really urge all of my fellow marketing students to join us, because I've seen that of all the programs, I think in MS Marketing, although we have like a tad bit few people, we are not as net or as aware or as networked with one another. So I would really appreciate that all of you could take some effort and have a fun time, even because we are going to have food and drinks, we are going to have games, and we are going to socialize tomorrow at this event. And yeah, I'd really hope to see all of you there.
Okay. And this presentation that we'll send out tomorrow, but we've been sending out some emails on this event, has a link to register now, and also some links to their LinkedIn, Instagram, and also they have access to our Teams account that we're on currently, so you can also communicate through the Teams MS Marketing account. All right. Well, thank you very much, Brijesh.
All right. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, so before we talk about courses, you've been here one semester. When you started in the orientation, the other thing we told you is this first semester should be a little bit of a discovery, that you don't have to worry your first semester about what track to pick. And we also gave you a series of things that you should start exploring. And one of them was a link to a video that explains what you should be considering when picking a track. So one of the things that I do want to mention, however, is it's very important that you put effort into making your own decision about picking a track. So what's happened in past years when we first started the program, we would meet with students and we would suggest that they take this track or that track. And that ended up being a little bit of a disaster, because what happened is there were a lot of things that at that time the student really hadn't explored, They were not really too informed about all the different options from just a conversation. And then they didn't like that track, and then they would try to change or didn't know they could even change, things of that nature. So that kind of goes to a major issue that employers tell us. One of the things that are of the top skills that they have is, sure, you have to have knowledge of, in our case, different marketing techniques, principles, market research, segmentation, et cetera, but being able to solve problems, make decisions is something that really they look at when deciding to hire, not an entry level, low level position, but more of a mid level to management position. You guys are graduate students, right? You hope, and that's my hope, that you guys want to have a managerial role where you're going to have to show this initiative. You can't expect your supervisor to tell you each and every little step. So please develop that habit and process to your own career planning. So often students are good at their job, but they don't apply the same level of research and strategy that they do at their job for their own career. So you really have to see this as a little bit of a marketing plan itself. It is a discovery process on your part. Some of you already know, and those are the more fortunate of you, I want to be in digital, I want to be in analytics, because maybe you've been exposed to it in a previous job, you have peers that have really told you a lot, things of that nature, and that's perfect. So this is more addressed to those of you that don't know and need to figure it out. So it's not something that you do in a day. That's why we told you in orientation, start thinking about these things. Look at this video because it'll walk you through all the considerations you need to have. Now, this discovery is based really on your reading, research, and one of the most important things is you really have to make a very critical assessment of your skills and weaknesses. And that's one of the reasons why it really is incumbent upon you to pick the track, because what was happening to in the past, student would say, I want the one that has the most possibility of jobs. And, well, are you good in analytics? Yes, I am. And actually they were not. So you really have to be very honest with yourself and understand what are the skills and aptitudes you have to have in each one of these different fields, okay? So we've provided you with 3 pieces of information to help guide your choices. So one is this video. It is 24 minutes, but really look at it as an investment in your career. And one of the most important things is getting into the right field, getting into the right area, functional area, okay? So that's one piece that if you haven't watched it, there's a link here that we'll send out again that walks you through that, okay? So it is a little bit long because it covers each and every track. It covers the different growth rates, volume of jobs, et cetera, and the considerations that you need to be asking yourself, okay? So the other one is we've written a lot of blogs, but obviously, everybody has time constraints and may not be able to read them. So what we've recently done, and this will be in the appendix when we send this out, is we created a table of some of the major job functional areas in digital, product management, marketing analytics, customer insights, et cetera. And what we did is within areas like digital or advertising, sometimes there are even more specific job roles. So what we've done is we've looked at what are the top job postings for these different areas, a brief description of what that position has, average years of experience that an employer is looking for before they hire you. Okay, that's where internships can be very important. Average salaries. How many jobs are there when you go to LinkedIn or Indeed.com or one of these job boards in the United States? Are we talking 1,000, 100,000, et cetera? So you can also see the number of jobs that there are. What's the software that's commonly used? What are the top skills? So we looked at approximately 15 job postings from large companies and wrote down what are the most common skills that they mention a lot. And then we mentioned which courses that we offer that align with some of these skills, okay? So, for example, marketing automation. So one of the things we explain is that we had that course, had very low enrollment, so now it's being morphed into a new course, MKT 6374, okay? So this is something for you to look at, but, you know, step one is make sure you look through that video and you start to see more or less what direction you think you have a good fit in. There's nobody that can do that for you. You have got to do that for yourself. And then the other thing that we have as a resource for you is there's a lot of courses, there's a lot of syllabi. So what we've done is we've kind of summarized the courses, and you know, this is just a screenshot. We have pretty much all the marketing courses where we compare them side by side. What's the course name? What are the prerequisites? What are the skills that they have? Okay. So, you know, if you come and say, well, what does this course contain? Well, my answer is, you know, the topics that are listed here. There's no substitute for looking at the syllabi because maybe that particular instructor has one item not listed here, or they've removed an item. So, you know, do understand when we make these summaries, they can always change a little bit based on what the instructor is doing, that they may not notify us. So we try to, you know, keep these updated, but, you know, always at the end of the day, do check the syllabi. So the degree plan, hopefully everybody's very familiar with it. Everybody knows that if they haven't waived these courses, these are these core courses you have to take. You've probably been taking them this semester, maybe even in the previous semester. The only one that we suggest you take towards the end are the capstone or the marketing strategy. That's the only marketing core that we have some options, and I'm going to talk about those here in a minute. So we have specialized tracks, as you know: advertising, business development, digital, marketing analytics, customer insights, product management, and marketing management, okay? So these 5 here are pretty specialized, and this one is you can combine, you can mix them up, etc. So I'm going to give you a really quick and brief overview of each track. Again, this is a discovery thing you should do. We cover it in the video. You got the job functional areas, but here's kind of a really high-level synopsis, track by track. So the advertising and branding one, we really recommend it mainly for those of you who are U.S. citizens or residents who are currently working in that area, be it in advertising or branding, and want a promotion. If you're trying to get into this area, there's not as many jobs. I mean, there are jobs, and the pay is not as good as some of the other tracks, okay? For example, if you enter brand manager in the job title, there's very few jobs, okay? Branding is a skill that most marketers need to have, but the job title brand manager is very small. It is very rare that they hire international students in these areas. It's not, when I say rare, it doesn't mean it never happens, and it certainly can happen for an internship, but it's unlikely to be something where they sponsor students for OPT when you graduate, okay? So that's advertising and branding. The other one is our business development and professional sales. This one we recommend mainly for U.S. citizens and residents. If you all could mute, some may have your microphone on, if you could please mute it. And it has low student demand. What happens is graduate students don't want to get into professional sales, which is a really high pay area. So one of the things that have happened is the courses never make, they're very small. Keith, can you look through and pause you know, some of the microphones, put them on mute? Sorry. And so we may be removing this track in 2023. Now, it doesn't affect anybody. If you are in this track, the courses will still be available. Just be aware, because of low enrollment in like professional sales, they sometimes are offered, but they don't make. So that's been kind of a little bit of a problem with this track. And it's very rare that they hire international students. So, you know, if you're an international student, these are two tracks that I would not put a lot of emphasis on. Okay. Now, if this is something you want to pursue because maybe you want to go back to your home country right away to work, then that's a completely different story. Okay. The digital track is one we recommend for both U.S. citizens and international students. It's high growth, has good pay. Now, there's many different areas. Some are jobs about social media, some are usability, some are pay-per-click, some are web analytics, and the pay varies, and that's something that I talk about in the video by functional area. And that's that resource that we have with those tables can help you see what are those functional areas and what are some of those salaries. If you're an international student, what I would say is, again, these are just kind of general rules. Are there exceptions? Sure. That if you pursue a digital track, that you focus more on the web analytics, e-commerce, more quantitative areas than, say, social media or PPC SEO. Okay, there's going to be more visa sponsorship opportunities with web analytics, e-commerce potentially, email automation, not so much with social media or PPC, because there's a lot of domestic students doing that, and they have an advantage with the language. That plays a really big role, obviously, in social media, in creating ads, etc. Okay, this area does not require a lot of statistics or math, so it's more about being very computer savvy and have that aptitude to learn. Ever changing, right? So that's another kind of attribute that you want to have for this area. Marketing analytics. So we highly recommend this one for both citizens and international students. Of all the tracks, this one has the highest visa sponsorship opportunities. It is high growth and much higher pay, really pretty much than any of the other tracks. Now, you have to be very strong in statistics and programming. And what I mean by that is you really have to, if you've taken like the OPRE 6301 or the advanced statistics course 6301, it's not something that you were kind of okay with, made a B. It's something you really should be like, something you really like, because that's a big percentage of what marketing analytics professionals do. Okay. Also, if you're not good at programming, be it SAS, Python, this track is not for you. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind before you dig in too much into the details of marketing analytics. If you're not doing well in statistics, don't even bother. It's a very competitive area. Now, customer insights is a sub-track within marketing analytics and customer insights. We've got some courses for marketing analytics students that are more programming and statistics oriented. And then the customer insights is more about analysis than analytics. Analytics tends to be higher level statistical modeling. Data analysis can be as basic as using Excel or Tableau and manipulating the data. Okay, so you don't have to have a high level of statistical knowledge, very little, relatively speaking. We recommend it for both citizens, international. I would say of our tracks, it has the second highest visa sponsorship number of opportunities. It's high growth and good pay. Now, you have to be still strong in statistics, but it's not a major part of this role, okay? Programming is not important, but some of it is helpful. For example, you don't need to know Python. You probably would not use R, but many of these jobs require SQL. That's one of the programming language for accessing and manipulating data in databases, okay? It's a combination of quantitative and the creative insights marketing side, connecting the dots, making recommendations from the data that the analytics people create and other data sets, and finding patterns, understanding pricing, understanding customer journeys, personas, and making recommendations for, say, a promotion or things of that nature. You do have to have pretty good general business knowledge, segmentation, positioning, data visualization, presentation skills. Okay, so this is one that, you know, if you think this kind of fits your, you know, your skills, your likes, dislikes, that this is one to consider, especially if you're an international student. Product management, very recommended, but mainly for U.S. citizens and residents. International students, this would be applicable only if you have extensive industry experience in one area. Let's say healthcare. You know, you have already a lot of healthcare experience or telecom experience or some chemical manufacturing experience, and you apply for jobs in that area. Also, if you have a technical undergraduate degree, like you're a programmer, an engineer, that's often preferred by employers in some industries for product managers. So that would be about the only exceptions for international students for product management. Again, this is mainly if you're interested in getting a job in the United States. If you want to develop the skills and knowledge because you're going back to a role like that, and we've had that happen in Korea and China, then that's perfectly fine. This would also be good for international students. Very high growth, a lot of jobs, excellent pay, one of the more interesting areas within marketing because you do a little bit of everything. You do market research, you get into promotions, pricing, competitive analysis, distribution. So it's almost like running a business, but usually you're working for a larger company. So definitely need to be very strong in business, not just marketing, strategy, project management. Good to have some basic financial knowledge, profit and loss statements, etc. And then the last track is really a do-it-yourself. We recommend this if you want to combine courses from different tracks. It's also suitable if you have your own business and you're going to be doing a little bit of everything, or working for a small, medium-sized company where you have to do some market research, you have to do some social media, you have to do some product development, pricing, et cetera, et cetera. We've also had students who, like we had a vice president of sales from a major company, Lennox, who pursued this track because he wanted to get more knowledge beyond sales in different areas like pricing, branding, etc. So it's also good for students in that situation. It's also good if you want to take more courses from other programs, like from the business analytics, the ITM, the entrepreneurship programs. Here, you have more flexibility to take courses from many areas because you're basically creating your own track. And that's kind of explained here. There's no suggested track core courses. You can select 21 hours from the list in our degree plan. The only caveat is at least 12 must be have an MKT prefix, okay? So that's kind of a really high-level summary of the tracks. So a couple of things to wrap up the tracks, and then we'll start to get into courses for summer and fall. The track name, let's say that you're going to do digital. It does not appear in your degree, okay? It doesn't appear in your diploma. Tracks are for guidance purposes really only, okay? You can switch, so you might be leaning for digital, and tomorrow you might go more into customer insights, okay? The only downside with that is, let's say you started out, let's say, in advertising and branding, and in the last semester you want to go into digital. The downside with making that big change is that you then don't have the opportunity to take as many courses in digital, okay? But there's overlap between advertising and digital, between digital and customer insights. There's some courses that are in both tracks. So, you know, it's perfectly fine if you combine tracks and do a little bit of switching. So you can combine, mix and match. You can do a little bit from every different track. When you mix and match, the best thing is just be in the marketing management track and then kind of look at the digital. Let's say you're interested in digital and customer. Look at both and see which course by looking at what skills, what software these courses have, and you create your own kind of menu of courses to take, okay? The main thing is to take courses that align with the skills needed by the job area that match your skills, desires that you want to get into, okay? So just to summarize kind of this track, don't stress about it. You don't have to pick a track, but you do have to start informing yourself what courses, more or less, what direction you want to go into. So hopefully this has been helpful in that regard. All right, so when you go to Coursebook, you've probably seen that the summer has appeared. My suggestion, and I hate to say this because many of you already know, but just in case some of you are first semester and still not had a lot of experience with this Coursebook has a lot of filters. You can filter it by area, marketing, Buon, ITM, etc. You can enter a specific class number, the instructor. I suggest you use the graduate filter. That way, you get rid of all these undergraduate courses that also populate when you do a search. Instruction method, maybe you're looking for only online courses, so you can select only online. Fall 22 courses should be appearing, I'm told, this coming Monday, March 28th. Now, what happens is some faculty take a long time in uploading their syllabi for the fall. I mean, unfortunately, as much as we push it, some, let's say it goes live Monday, they may not put out the syllabi till a month before classes start. So my recommendation in that case, if you don't see a recent syllabi, is you go and look at a past semester. So you might look at this spring or last fall, look at that course number and instructor, and look at that syllabi. Usually they don't change that much, with the exception, obviously, of the dates, the projects, exams, book they use, topics they cover. Doesn't tend to change too much, okay? So you might want to do that. Again, we have this kind of cheat sheet that lists what are the topics covered in every course, so that can also help you along. Now, while you can see it, doesn't mean you can enroll. Your Orion, Galaxy, these names kind of change, where you usually have been adding and dropping courses. It'll tell you when is the date when you can enroll for summer or fall courses, okay? Now, will there be some more courses? It's possible that one or two courses may be added for the summer. We still don't know. So, go by what we have now. That's what I'm going by now. They're talking about maybe adding consumer behavior for the summer. But again, don't hold me to it because it's not for sure, okay? Here's another thing that you should look at, and we included in the package that we're going to send out to you tomorrow, is we list out all the courses that we have in our degree plan, what the prerequisite is, and when they're offered. So here, instead of going to summer and then fall, and you don't know what spring looks like, you can see at a glance to help you plan ahead what courses are offered in which semester. So if you said, I'm afraid consumer behavior might not be offered in the fall, I'm going to, it is offered in the fall. It is offered in the spring, okay? So another example, let's say that you were going to take brand management. Well, let me give you a different example. Digital sales strategy. That's not going to be offered until spring, okay? So, this is a good guidance for you. Also, maybe you said, I'm going to take pricing fall or spring, but no, it's only offered in the summer. Okay, so that's how you use this. On the right-hand column, we tell you if there's an online version available, and it'll say yes or no. Okay, so there's no substitute for you arriving at your own decision of what area you want to focus on, what courses fit the future job that you want, etc. But we've understand, this can be overwhelming. So what I've created here is kind of a cheat sheet. And what that means is if you come and ask me, interested in this track, what courses should I take? I list here for you what courses I recommend. These are in order of priority by track, okay? So if you come and say, I'm interested in the product management track, what should I take? So because this course is only offered in the summer, I put it as number 1. Then I suggest brand management. Then I suggest these other courses. Now you say, well, there's a lot. I can't take all of them. No, absolutely true. But there we go back to this thing. Maybe you've already taken some of these courses, or maybe when you dig in and look at the course and you look at what topics are covered and what softwares they include, you may decide that you don't want to, for example, let's say take Agile project management. So those things vary. It's very difficult to have a one size fits all. So this is where you have to kind of make that decision. Same with digital. If you want to go more into the quantitative side, you really definitely need to be looking at this web analytics and the advanced web analytics, okay? There are some courses that we don't have in our degree plan, but in every track we allow you kind of like I hate to call it free because somebody once wanted free tuition. So it's free in the sense that you can pick it from any program in JSON, and it doesn't have to appear in our degree plan. So that's what free means. So for example, some students may pick this causal analytics and A/B testing. It's a good skill to have. Now, the reason we don't include it in our degree plan at this point is because a lot of this is covered in the advanced web analytics, okay? So that's why part of this is order priority, but you, again, have to look at what are the topics in these. You may have to look at a syllabi to make that informed decision. So for the marketing analytics track, be it analytics or customer insights, 2 courses we think are really important are the database foundation, which is SQL, and spreadsheet modeling. Now, if you're in customer insights, do you need to have SQL? No, you can get away without knowing it, but I think it makes your resume stand out. And for an international student wanting to kind of differentiate yourself from others, I think having things like SQL might help you stand out, okay? And then here are some of the courses, and we'll talk about some of these courses in the next couple of slides. Product marketing management, again, that I don't have a recommendation because that's up to you. You may, like I said, combine different tracks or just pick one course from every track and a lot of courses from other areas. So there's no way to make any recommendations for you there. So one thing I want to talk about that comes up, I usually don't talk too much about the core courses in any detail because you have to take them. But this is one exception. You have to take it unless you waived it, but we do have 2 options. One is the 6339 capstone. It's offered in the summer, and the other one is the 6350 marketing strategy and game theory offered in the fall. So in the summer, it's online only. Basically here, a big portion of the class is using marketing simulation software where you're competing against an algorithm and making all the different decisions in the marketing mix: promotion, advertising, sales, segmentation, new product development, etc., and maybe investing more or less, changing the price up or down. And then the simulation tells you if that was a good or bad decision. And your market share may go down, and you get some feedback about what to adjust. So look at it like pilots, can obviously get in the airplane itself and and get experience. But before they get in the plane, before you run a business, you want to get into one of these simulators, because then you get that experience without maybe crashing the plane or crashing the business. So it's a good experience, especially if you don't have a lot of business experience. So, you can read this for yourself. So that is the capstone marketing decision making. The 6350 is in person. It's offered in the fall. Okay. The only thing that I would say is it is very quantitative. Okay. It uses game theory, a lot of economics type concepts, econometrical concepts, applied to a strategic situation. Okay. So just be aware it is quite a bit more quantitative than this course. Now, if you're still going to be here in the spring 23, this capstone one is in person, okay? It also uses a simulation, but the only difference is in spring of 23, it'll be in person, okay? So you decide based on, when you graduate, and you can later see some of these comments for yourself. All right, so this is a course I teach. I'm not going to read each bullet point. Like I said, I'll send this out, but this is kind of a foundational course, an introductory course to digital, covers a lot of many different areas. There are hands-on components, lifetime value calculations that are important in digital, best practices in social media, homework exercises with hands-on in SEO, PPC. This summer, if you're thinking of taking the course in the summer, I'm not going to have a group project that I usually have because it's a very compressed semester, 12 weeks. And I'm going to have a mini simulation on digital advertising. And, so it'll be kind of this previous slide about a simulation, but this will be a really focused one, last only about a week, where you get a lot of hands-on experience in seeing how to make wise decisions and how you allocate your spending in digital. The other course, brand management, one of our electives in multiple tracks, advertising, product management. So it deals with brands itself, how to do audits, what are the different components of strong brands, how to measure brand equity. So this is a very popular course taught by Professor Biswas for those in those tracks where this is relevant. Advertising and promotional strategy. So this one is more of traditional media. There's really no digital advertising in this one. It's just those basic concepts in advertising that can be applied also in digital, but mainly focused on traditional media. And, don't think everything is digital. It's not, right? We watch a lot of television. We consume a lot of TV, radio. Print media is still important, and some venues like B2B, print media is really important. So this is another course in several tracks, and it's offered this summer. Pricing analytics, it's online this summer, and you can see for yourself, I think it's pretty obvious why pricing is so critical. It's part of the success or failure of your business, how profitable you are. What are the different components in pricing? What are the different pricing techniques, skimming, premium, market penetration, et cetera, et cetera. So this is all about pricing, very excellent for product management especially. It's also good for the customer insights track. And, you can read this for yourself. These bullet points, by the way, come from the instructors, okay? This one, for those of you pursuing the marketing analytics track, I wouldn't really recommend it for the customer insights, although you're certainly free to do it. It's offered online in the summer, in person and online in the fall. And this is where you get into statistical modeling, where you do some programming. It's not super heavy in programming, but they do teach you either with SAS. Some instructors are starting to include R and Python, which is why you're going to see the name SAS, which is one of the softwares, kind of drop in the fall from the name. It's still called this in the summer, but in the fall, the SAS part is being dropped out. Marketing web analytics, highly, highly recommended. I don't think you can really be a digital marketer if you don't have a good grounding in digital analytics. And one of the things, it's not just Google, but it uses the Adobe platform, which is what most big companies use. So it's a good differentiator, very good salaries. Like I said, within the digital track, somewhere in the 70, 80,000 range. This is one that is up in the 100,000 plus range. Very hot in demand. PPC, even social media, if it's done right, is driven by web analytics. So the instructor, Professor Tyrone, is also currently, he's one of the few professors that's working both in industry and with us as kind of a full-time instructor. So he has day-to-day good hands-on experience in web analytics. And he's developed this advanced one that is meant to be in person. And I believe he'll put up the syllabi. He already has taught it once before, but unfortunately it was kind of during the pandemic. So a lot of it wasn't in person. This one really, he said, had to be in person. So you can see for yourself, but it goes way beyond. It starts to get into a little bit of statistical modeling with data extracted from web analytics. It gets into other analytics, not just your website, but mobile, your app, even the Internet of Things. Exporting that to platforms like Tableau, so you can really create really nice dashboards that the Google Analytics or Data Studio do not have. And this is, like I said, it gets into A/B testing. So that's why I said, the other course might be overkill. If you're taking this one, I wouldn't take that causal analytics A/B course. This is a new course that we've introduced, and it's going to be available this fall. And in marketing analytics, the most common programming languages that are used is Python, SQL, and R. Okay. So we know a lot of marketing students, unlike ITM, business analytics students, do not have any programming experience. So if analytics is for you because you're strong in statistics and you want to pursue marketing analytics but don't have programming, this course is really, I would say, really important for you because it introduces you to Python and R. SQL is learned in another course, MIS 6320. So here you learn how to use the libraries, lists, basic data hygiene problems and issues that arise, data structures, but it is an introduction. You're not going to be super proficient, but this will get you so that you can later start to take courses that are more advanced in marketing analytics and know enough Python to, you're not, totally lost. Okay. So this is one I recommend really for marketing analytics students primarily. Should a customer insights student take it? Yes. I mean, if especially if you're an international student, it makes you more marketable. But is it critical? No, because usually that's done more by this programming part is done by the data scientists and marketing analytics folks, and the insights people then receive the data sets and then they further manipulate and analyze it. Okay. And this is a new course also. It's kind of been created partly from the marketing automation, which is email marketing and text messaging platforms. It's going to be a hybrid from 7 to 8:15 p.m. on Monday. It's going to be in person for the lab part, and then the rest on your own time. It's going to have some pre-recorded online lectures. So here you're going to learn about web hosting, content, pricing management, the different templates that exist when creating a website, funnels, how to manage an e-commerce store. It is hands-on. Each group will create a e-commerce enabled website using WordPress, and then at the latter part of the semester also Shopify. And the other thing is that it will include one of the most big softwares in demand in the digital space, which is called HubSpot. So what HubSpot is, unlike Salesforce, it really gets into not just sending emails and text messages, but it gets into creating forms, into creating special landing pages that are very integrated with all this messaging that's taking place based on rules and events. So, when you go to a website and you start the checkout process and you abandon the shopping cart, as you know, sometimes if you entered your email a day later, a couple of hours, you'll get an offer to come back and continue your purchase. That's done through marketing automation. You can take a lot of the HubSpot courses on your own. They're free. I always encourage students to do that. But there are sections that are not available in like free, and you don't have access to the platform itself. You can only study, a video. But what we're going to do is both hands-on, get into the HubSpot software, and also follow the path so you can get certified by the end of the semester. Okay, so that's not available if you don't have access to the platform, and it's pretty expensive. It's prices range, depends on the functionality, but they start at over $800 per month. There is a fee of potentially of $35. Shopify has a trial period. The WordPress we will provide at no cost, but the Shopify allows you in 2 weeks to do it at no charge. Some students may be able to complete it in 2 weeks, and if not, you may either start from scratch again and create another email and get another free trial, or pay like just a 1 month $35 cost. Now, one thing I'll say about this course, Monday, fall courses appear. Unfortunately, they messed up this course in the paperwork, and it may take a week to appear in the course book, okay? So it will be offered, but it may not initially appear. They're saying about maybe putting out a MKT 6V99. I'll let you know what transpires, but just be aware, even if it appears Monday or doesn't appear, you still can't register for the course until probably the week after, and I'm told by then it should appear. So unfortunately, that may happen, so just heads up with that. Okay, so that is my presentation, and let's go ahead and open it up for any questions. I guess we did some decent time. And Keith, you can monitor the chat for me. Any questions, anybody?
Yes, Professor. So this is Chen, and I'm currently finished all my required courses. So I'm just the person who need to pick my track. So after listening to your presentation, can I understand this way? For the marketing management track, as long as you meet 36 credits, you can choose whatever courses from the list.
Yes, as long as it's in our degree plan, you can choose any courses. You can choose from, we have a few from finance and accounting. You can choose some of those. Yeah.
Okay, so I can choose branding, pricing, and the e-commerce that you list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So complete flexibility. Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to email the advisor and let them know that I pick this track?
No, and just so you know, so advising likes to know, what track you pursue, especially when you're graduating. Let's say you started out in digital, and then when you're there about to graduate, you want to make changes. Don't feel you're stuck. You can always change. You may have started in digital, and then you tell the advisor, marketing management, and we tell them, but sometimes they forget because again, the tracks, you're not stuck in them. You can change them. So no, you don't have to tell them. If they ask you, you can, then certainly share. If they say, well, but you told me you're in digital, but you haven't taken this course, and say, okay, I'm in the marketing management. I want to mix and match, and then they're fine. Okay.
Okay. So can I also understand in this way? So for example, if I choose a digital marketing track, but I only took 4 courses out of the 5 courses from the list, but I can still take another course as long. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All
So
right.
they're only, so really these tracks are for guidance. So what's happened is, just to give you a history, about 15 years ago, it would appear in your degree plan. I mean, this is before my program started, but finances had tracks, accounting had tracks, and it would appear, you know, MS in accounting, let's say audit, concentration or track. But it became a huge problem because students would change their mind and didn't take one course, and then they were stuck and couldn't graduate. So it was decided to use these tracks more for guidance purposes. That way, if you're interested and you know for sure you're more interested in digital, we don't have to tell each one of you, take this course, take that course. We give you a list of the most important courses, the highest priority, and then a lot of options to choose from. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
And I have another question regarding the course e-commerce you just recommend. I think this is excellent, and I also want to learn. But the problem is, I notice it's in person, the lab, but I'm the online student. So
Okay. Now let me ask that: are you on a visa?
I have my green card.
Okay. So one of the things that I am going to, this is something I will send an email out also once the course goes live, is that international students must be present in person for it to count. But I do have domestic students, green card citizens like yourself that have this issue. So we will look at recording the lab. But since it's in groups, you would have to be with other students that are not there in person. That would be the only caveat. If there is enough domestic students that are doing it remote, then we can allow you to do it remote, the in-person part. But what we don't want to do is some students are in person and they have to deal with somebody that's not physically there. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So that would be the only caveat to being able to do that.
Yeah. Because the course content you mentioned is exactly what my job are needing. So I think this course will be perfect for me if I'm able to do the online lab.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Okay. Anybody else? Other questions? Yes, just speak up.
Mahesh has a question.
Yeah, just speak up.
Hello, Professor. Thank you so much for this amazing interactive session. I had a question. I asked you this in the last webinar where you told us, like it was from SLC, where you were telling us about how to choose a track. So this question is about internship, where since being an international student, we have this rule whether you need to attend 2 long semesters or 18 credit hours, right? But it has changed for 1 long semester and 18 credit hours. So like, is that rule still valid, or has it changed where like since this would be an important factor for us choosing summer, right?
Right.
Because then we would become, since we are spring students, so if we take summer 3 classes, then 3 or 2 classes, we complete 18 credit hours and 1 long semester, so we are eligible for fall internships, right? So is that rule still going on?
And Keith, you haven't heard different, have you?
No, it's internationals have to complete 1 long semester and have a total of 18 completed credit hours.
Completed.
You can't be taking the 18 credit hours, you have to have completed them.
Okay. One more question. So about fall classes, when can we start booking our fall classes?
When can you what?
Start booking our fall classes.
So in your account, I believe it's called Orion, right? Where you log in and see your courses and you pay.
No, I know from Orion, but like from when exact date?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you go to Orion, it'll tell you your date.
Okay.
It'll tell you, you know, I don't know, April 8th is when you can start enroll. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Nothing in the chat.
So again, if you joined us late, the recording will be available to you. And the other thing that we want to emphasize again is that tomorrow our Student Leadership Council is having a mixer. I'll be there also. And that's between 12 and 1 p.m. at that courtyard right here outside of the JSON. And you know where that owl is. And so do be aware of that. And Keith, maybe do me a favor because I have to edit some of the slides so that they can see all these comments because they're kind of hidden. So I have to make sure that they're visible. If you could send an email out maybe tonight or first thing tomorrow morning asking students or reminding them about this event because they would like if you could register.
Yeah, I have one ready to go first thing tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, any questions? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. That otherwise it gets too long.